What's your base? What's your breed, bro?
I'm a Filipino, just like my man here.
Go.
I'm definitely a come-forward classic Filipino boxer. Throw a lot of punches.
Speed, power.
I'd rather try and out-punch you than out-slip you and out-defense you.
Tell us a little bit more about your camp, because I know you went through a whirlwind.
With the cancellation on the week, luckily my manager Alec and Steve Goodwin, the promoter, got me on this show last minute, so we were able to save the fight. I think for me, the definition of a fighter, someone who will push through no matter what. I put that down to myself as well because I'm always in the gym. After this fight here, I'm going to get back in the gym same week. I just love training. I love fighting. I really love fighting. If I was fighting for financial benefit, I would not be doing it. I'm fighting because I get excited. All throughout my life, I was late for school and I lived 2 minutes from school. Late for school, late for work, but boxing, I'm there early.
Never late.
Hands wrapped, never late, and I love it, mate. I love it. It really it gets the hairs on my arm standing up because just even talking about it.
Welcome to TAZ Talks. I'm here with Dean Gardner.
Hello, guys. I'm Dean Gardner, Dean Gardner. I'm a 4-1 professional boxer from Sutton in South London. I'm here at York Hall getting ready for my 6th professional fight. I'm a welterweight boxing out of South London, Sutton. I'm at York Hall now and I'm about to go to work.
And you got to tell me your base. What's your base? What's your breed, bro?
So luckily I'm a Filipino, just like my man here.
Go.
So yeah, it's a nice little link up. It's good to have the support of the Filipino community. Hopefully I can grab a few more supporters.
Who do you think you fight like in terms of your heritage, right? Obviously you was you born and raised here?
Born and raised here.
Born and raised here. But who do you think you have the kiness and likeness in terms of your fighting style as the Filipino legends?
So in terms of Filipino legends, I'd say I'm definitely a come-forward classic Filipino boxer. Throw a lot of punches.
Speed, power.
I'd rather try and out-punch you than out-slip you and out-defense you. But to say I'm similar to Manny Pacquiao would be a lie, just because he is a southpaw. His feet are probably one of a kind. So I would never try and imitate such a man. I do what works for me, and that's come forward, have a fight, and hopefully people will notice that and want to come and see me.
Well, that's great. Well, we all like to be like Manny Pacquiao, right? But I hope nothing but the best for you. And I wish you can be the next big thing, because we need someone in the boxing community, especially in the Filipinos, to bring that pride within us.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course,
To back someone, because as you can see, different Asian cultures now, like the Pakistanis, the Indians, they have a lot that they're backing now.
Yep.
Like obviously Amir Khan with the Pakistanis and so many. But now we obviously had Manny Pacquiao, but we haven't had anyone from England.
That's what I
mean.
mean.
So happy, but it's not really professional. It's a different level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And is that something that you'd like to, bring?
I mean, even Salt Puppy, he's from the UK and he's tapped into the UK market of the Filipinos. I'm yet to do so, but that's something I would love to do. I know once they get to know me, once they see like my family life, once they can maybe see my mum and see my mum is a classic Lola. She gets the Lolas round for the foods and stuff. Like, if they see that part of me, that side of me, then they will know this is a classic Filipino kid just trying to make it. But I bring that English side to me as well. My dad was English, and I grew up around my English friends and being in and around that environment, so I can do the best of both worlds. I just need the support.
Well, we'll definitely try to work towards that. But tell us a little bit more about your camp, because I know you went through a whirlwind during this camp, right? So talk a little bit more about that.
So obviously 8-week camp, working with a nutritionist. I want to shout him out quickly. Terry's Knockout Fitness. Brilliant camp. Has made me feel unbelievably strong. So focusing on that, focusing on nutrition.
Just quickly, is this your first time working with a nutritionist?
This would be the first fight working with a nutritionist, which I must say is an absolute game changer. But as well as focusing on the nutrition, making weight, sparring hard, which I spar hard anyway. The popular boxing gym is a hard gym to come down. In the pros, if you come down to our gym for sparring, you're going to get a hard spar. That's just the Wilkie way, which is my coach, Alec Wilkie. But with the cancellation on the week before I was meant to box, I was actually meant to be boxing in Tolworth on a black box show. The show got pulled last minute while I was out running on the Tuesday night.
Promotion?
Dean White's promotion, you know, through possibly no fault of his own. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Luckily, my manager, Alec, and Steve Goodwin, the promoter, got me on this show last minute. So we're able to save the fight and we're able to give the fans and the people that support me exactly what they want, which is me fighting.
And mentally, though, I want to dig deeper into that. Like, how does that affect you as a fighter? Because I know physically it's already breaking your body down, but mentally, what's the adapt? Like, how did you adapt to it?
I think for me, the definition of a fighter, someone who will push through no matter what, right? So, of course, with the cancellation of the show and possibly not fighting, I still kept training my arse off as if I was fighting. Right, so I'm not gonna, you know what, I'm off diet now, I'm gonna go order a pizza, I'm gonna go and do this. No, I kept training like there was still a fight there. I had faith in my manager that he was gonna pull through and get me a fight on the Saturday, and my faith was well placed because he managed to come through. And that is being a fighter. Being a fighter is fighting through the hard times and sticking with what you know and trusting the process. That's what I'll say.
I mean, it must have been healthy, but how long was you in that limbo of like not knowing if you were going to have another fight?
I found out on the Tuesday of fight week.
Just this week?
The following week, the previous week. So fight week, found out on the Tuesday that show might be pulled. On the Wednesday, we were in the gym trying to sort it all out. And then on the Thursday, I found out I was boxing on a different show. So those 2 days were tough. Obviously for my stablemate as well, Zoe, because she was going through the same thing as me. But again, our team pulled through for us, and that is the main thing. And the reason we all do it, and we're all a part of boxing, is because we love the sport. It is hard, but the rewards can be big.
I know, right? And that's what you're working towards, especially, I mean, you're only beginning, really, like in your career,
start
right?
the journey, yeah.
I mean, does that take a toll in your mind, though? Like, obviously, money, the finances always breaks people down, right? But do you think that, what's your suggestion to yourself? Because obviously at the beginning, you would probably think that, boxing is a lucrative career, right? There's a lot of money, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, there's so many people that made money out of it. But obviously going to the ins and outs of the actual, grassroots level and starting your way up, what's your advice to your younger self to say, like, how could you motivate him?
So, my younger self, if I could say anything, don't expect sunshine and rainbows when you first turn pro, because it's not. It's going to be a lot of chasing around, a lot of groundwork, and a lot of mental stress. Very thankful myself that I have a mum that is so supportive. She does support my boxing. She knows I've been fighting since I was a kid, starting off in Taekwondo, moving on to kickboxing and now boxing. She's been so supportive through the whole thing. She knows I've got talent. I'm lucky to have her in my life and my stepdad also. Like, they're both so supportive of me. But when I first turned pro, I genuinely thought like, there's going to be cameras and flashing lights and Dean's turning pro, wow. But it was just me, my manager, Zoe was there, and she took a little picture of us shaking hands. I signed a bit of paper, and that was it. I was a professional boxer. And it was exciting. I'm now a professional athlete.
When was that?
That was 2020 or 2021. I've been a pro for 2 years now.
So just after the pandemic or during it?
Just after.
Just after.
I met him during the pandemic, and then just after is when he decided he wanted to take me into the pros.
Oh, wow. I mean, you've really upped your journey when you think about it, right? Because even though it's only been 2 years, like, you've really been
I've been active, and I put that down to him. I put that down to myself as well, because I'm always in the gym. After this fight here, I'm going to get back in the gym same week. I just love training. I love fighting. I really love fighting. If I was fighting for financial benefit, I would not be doing this. I'm fighting because I get excited. all throughout my life, I was late for school and I lived 2 minutes from the school. Imagine that, yeah. I literally
I
lived.
think it's that Filipino timing.
It is the Filipino, just being too relaxed about
Yeah.
it. But late for school, late for work. But boxing, I'm there early.
Never late.
Hands wrapped, never late, and I love it, mate. I love it. It really it gets the hairs on my arm standing up because just even talking about it.
I know you're Filipino, so it's in our blood to fight, right?
Of course.
But what actually got you into it?
So I lived in Thailand, actually. Being a Filipino, living in Thailand, got mistaken.
You lived in Thailand?
I lived in Thailand, yeah. So I got
That's an
mistaken.
interesting story, man.
I know. I got mistaken for a Thai kid so much. But yeah, lived in Thailand for about 4 years.
Yeah.
Now, out there, their prime sports are Thai boxing, and another form of Thai boxing, which is it's kind of like a bare knuckle version anyway.
Oh, I think I've seen this one.
They do
Is it
flying headbutts.
Left way or something.
Left way, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad.
Now, I've seen that. They're crazy.
Yeah, so obviously, my parents wouldn't let me do those two yet, because I was still a kid. So they enrolled me into Taekwondo. And I competed in Taekwondo for the next 4 years. I picked up medals up and down the country, was winning loads of fights. I was actually very good. I'd say international level. And then once we moved back, I started getting into kickboxing out there, like Thai boxing. We then moved back to the UK, and that's when I took up Muay Thai kickboxing. And I was doing that all through my teens. Originally, the plan was never boxing. So with my background in kickboxing, I loved the UFC. I loved MMA. That's when it was coming up. Chuck Liddell,
when I see you,
Wanderlei
man.
Silva,
You look
yeah.
more like a MMA fighter.
I know, yeah, I loved it. I was doing jiu-jitsu for years, and the plan was always that. Now, I only boxed, so I come from a kickboxing gym. I only boxed to work on my hands because MMA fighters do box as well. And
you call it striking, right?
striking, yeah, like MMA boxing. It was that sort of thing. So I was always preparing for that. I was like, oh, the MMA debut, working towards that. I was having kickboxing bouts, but I kept injuring my foot. So after every kickboxing bout, I wouldn't be able to walk for a couple days. I'd have to take 2 weeks off training. So I was like, look, my foot obviously needs to just heal. I need to take a break from it. So I'm just going to work on my boxing for a little bit, which all helps the main goal. And then I started boxing and I just fell in love with it. I boxed on the unlicensed scene, which is the Queensbury Boxing League, which you're familiar with. I got 3 knockouts on there. I had a total of 5 fights. I won a regional title, and I was like, wow, this is actually what I want to do now. Yeah, and then I stuck with the boxing, and here we are.
And what time was that? Because I know, we literally just missed each other.
Missed each other.
I fought around there in 2017, and
I think my first fight was 2018 or 2019.
And
then that's when the COVID come and it messed everything up. Yeah,
because he was still with we were talking about it earlier. He was still with Ross Minter, wasn't it?
Ross Minter, yeah. He was the Queensbury name, and then he took the Queensbury name with him when he stopped doing it. Now it's called Quest.
Yeah,
but it was
That's why it changed. But did you have any amateur experience in boxing, or did you go straight to unlicensed?
So the unlicensed, that got me into the boxing. Then over COVID, I met Alec Wilkie. So I wasn't boxing for ages. Didn't really know what to do with myself. One of my best friends now, Danny Cassius Connor, Southern Area champion, boxed on Sky 3 times. He's the man in our area for boxing. He messaged me on Instagram and said, look, you're really talented. I want to take you to East London to meet my coach. So I was like, okay, all right, let's do it. I was hungry to meet new people and see what comes next. Met him. Alec was excited by me and wanted to sign me and turn me over pro. So I said, okay, cool. Things are starting to take off for me now. But then when I went to turn pro, the Border Control who issued the licenses had just changed their rules. Now, new rules state that you cannot turn professional unless you have an amateur background. You see? My background was unlicensed. I had 5 unlicensed fights. I must have had 40 to 50 Taekwondo fights. It changed literally just as I went to turn pro.
So
my mob of
around that time.
Around that time, yeah. So they changed the rules. I had to go back and I had to have 5 amateur fights, and I won 4 out of 5 of them. And then
Is there a limit? Is there a minimum?
A minimum of 5.
Minimum of
you can
5.
have more. That's better. Yeah. But I wanted to turn pro as soon as possible, basically. Yeah, because Alec is a pro coach. He's not an amateur coach. didn't want to waste his time, and I wanted to get started as a pro.
And how long did you do that?
5 fights. It took me. I squeezed out the 5 fights in like 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, I was fighting. I
mean,
fought on.
I think it's just all like ludicrous that whole rule.
Duh,
It's so stupid, mate.
I,
Because I mean, going by your level of fighting skills, if you can win regional in a Queensbury, because Queensbury is not just any unlicensed.
It's good
At that
standard,
time,
yeah.
like, Queensbury was
it's
like
probably
really
the best
top.
of the white collar.
Exactly,
the white collar
right?
scene,
Like,
I would say.
it's really, a lot of them are better than a lot of the pros at a low level when you see it.
Yeah.
So if you're that good, they still won't qualify you to be a pro. I mean, what did you think of that? Like, at that
So
time?
I thought I was good enough. Alec told me I was good enough, and he's been in boxing 40 years. But I think it is a good thing, you know. And if I could go back in time, I would do it all over again, the amateurs. Even though I always had the talent, I believe it's stopped because there's a lot of players in boxing. There's a lot of people that want to pretend to be a professional boxer, but won't go and do the runs, won't do the diet, won't spar hard. So I think to filter those people out and tarnish the sport's name and reputation, you need to get the serious guys in there. And the serious guys are the ones like me who's willing to do the amateur fights, you know, take a step back, do the amateur fights. And I didn't enjoy them, but I did them anyway. And now I'm a pro, and now I'm loving my life as a professional.
And how, just briefly, how old was you when you actually started this whole journey of like going into boxing and turning pro?
From boxing to kickboxing at 18.
18.
So, but I've been kickboxing since I was a child at like 12, 10 years old. Taekwondo before that, from when I was 8 years old.
So you have plenty of martial arts experience.
I've been in combat
experience,
sports since I was a kid. So yeah, the experience is always.
And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
26.
26, so still young, man.
Still young, still young.
Going back into like the whole process of going into professional boxing.
Yep.
And like getting signed up. Obviously, you probably had to pay a fee. Of like,
Yeah,
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Every year you have to renew your boxing license. Yeah, and every year, which this is another good thing, you have to sit a medical. And now your medical will be blood tests. It will be a brain scan to make sure your head's all right to box. Because if they find anything wrong with your brain scan, you will not be allowed to box.
Okay.
Which is a good thing because we take punches to the head constantly. So it's to make sure no one's dying in the ring, having any fatalities, talking to lampposts, you know what I mean? All of that stuff. So
stroking the rope.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's a brilliant thing. It's costly. So that's why I need to shout out my sponsors, Ashton Mechanic, J Plum Services, who else have I got? Yield Gallery, my good friend Callum owns Yield Gallery. These guys. Oh, and Luke Jackson Scaffolding. Luke Jackson, I need to thank especially because he paid for my medical 2 years in a row now, and Ashton Mechanic helped cover the second year as well. So with these sponsors, I would, because I can't work, because I train full time, they are able to help me pay for these fees so I can box.
Wow, man.
And these guys are the backbone of my career, basically.
So you do this full time?
Full time.
Full time, and you have like wonderful people to support you.
Support me, my mum, my sponsors, my family, and all the guys who buy tickets to watch me fight. Those are the guys that are helping me get in the ring.
Tell the people how much it means for fighters when people buy the tickets, because obviously for people that don't know, they probably just think, you know, they just wanted to watch this and that. But how much does it actually mean in terms of your lifestyle and like your livelihood? Because people don't understand that boxing is, for someone like you that does this full time, this is everything.
This is everything,
so, just talk briefly about that.
Again, you don't sell the tickets, you don't box. Because when you ask to box on a show, they have certain requirements and fees that need to be met. So their fee might be, oh, you need to sell 50 tickets before you make any money. And that's fine, but 50 tickets is hard, especially when they're coming from like the other end of London and stuff like that. So in order to make these fees, you need to be pushing the tickets. I don't want people to have it in their mind that every time I sell a ticket, I'm making money for myself. That's not how it is. Every time I sell a ticket, it's just helping me get in the ring. It's helping me cover the fees of the promotion, and the promotion, they're well entitled to do that because they have certain fees they have to make. Boxing is an expensive sport for the people that are running it. So the fees are there for every good reason, and you know the promoters need to earn their money and the boxers need to fight. So that's just the way things are set up.
So do you think it's a sustainable like lifestyle in terms of like?
Yeah, definitely not sustainable, but it can be made possible with the right people around you. And by the right people, I mean support from sponsors, support from managers, and most importantly, parents.
Parents.
Yeah, most importantly, parents.
And I know you have like a great partner that supports you. And do you want to give her a little shout out just as we wrap things up?
You know what? I will give my little Ellie a shout out. This time around especially, man, she's been pushing the tickets to all her friends. She knows I struggled to sell the tickets this time. So, Ellie, thank you so much. And didn't want to say this on camera, but I do love you, okay? Thank you for pushing the tickets to all your friends.
How much of a role do you think that plays of having a great partner, supportive and caring partner that's a backbone to your...
She's been there from the start, man. So back when I was on the Queensbury, you know, earning nothing, and then back when COVID hit and there was 3 years where I was like, I'm not even a boxer right now.
Yeah.
You know, what am I supposed to do? This and that. I had this dream of being a pro and stuff, and it never come. She told me to stick at it. You know, she was my backbone for a little bit, and she was the one like, don't give up boxing. Like you'd be throwing away everything you've done so far. And I didn't, and now look, I'm at York Hall, I'm on a Steve Goodwin show, I'm doing an interview with you. Like, sometimes you need to really look back at those times and think, yeah, you know, that I had the right people around me to get me where I needed to be, and she was definitely one of them.
And you're going further than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what you say, you're like a fighter born and bred.
Yeah.
When you think about it, all right?
Definitely.
So this is really who you are, all right? And tonight, you're going to be getting to show that.
Yeah.
And what do you think the outcome, obviously, it's going to be a victory for yourself, but in what fashion do you want to achieve that? As
I said, I'm aggressive, I come forward, and I'll just throw punches all night. So I'd love to get the stoppage. Fonz Alexander's a tough man, so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, he's going to be easy to stop. No, he's not easy to stop, but I'll throw punches and I'll keep trying until I get it. You don't get paid for overtime, so I'd like to do it early, but Fonz is a tough man. Let's say I'm going to walk away with the win one way or the other.
There you go. Well, Dean, thank you so much for
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
And we're going to go to war now.
Let's go.
Let's go.